Good morning, everyone. Thanks so much for being here at Newman Lumen today. My name is Reverend Julie Tonneson, and I serve as the Associate University Chaplain, and it's a joy to welcome y'all to the sacred space for a few moments of inspiration on this Thursday morning. A blessed Ramadan to all who are celebrating. Today, we are going to begin our time together with music from Hannah Giessler, who is a senior double major in psychology and dance. They are also involved with LEAF, leading music for the group, and doing the important role of taking care of their finances as the treasurer. So please help me to welcome Megan. Not Megan, what am I saying? To welcome Hannah. Oh my gosh, I got my student leaders mixed up. Pleased to welcome as our speaker today, Shereen Elgamal, lecturer in Arabic in the Department of World Languages and Cultures. Shereen was born and raised in Cairo, Egypt, and then moved to the United States when she was 28 years old. After earning her master's and doctorate, she joined the Elon community in the fall of 2007 as a professor of Arabic. She grew up in a Muslim household and began studying and practicing the religion at the age of 14. In addition to it being a major part of her identity and lifestyle, Islam also inspires her to be involved in different interfaith activities and spaces, and we are so grateful to welcome her to Newman Lumen today. So help me to welcome Shereen Elgamal.
Good morning, everyone, and I greet you with peace. It's a very special day for me. It's the beginning of Ramadan. And Ramadan is like a huge festival for the Muslim faith because it is like we set the reset button every year on this day. I'm trying to reach out for my best me for the next 30 days. As stated in the introduction, living an Islamic lifestyle and my Muslim identity are really important to me. And I celebrate any opportunity and every opportunity to share this with those around me because it brings joy to my life to share who I am. And it also opens doors for me to get to know who other people are. I was inspired by the prompt or the semi-prompt that was provided for me as I prepared for this. And the question was, what stories make you who you are today? I don't think I have stories in the literal sense of stories, but I have encounters and I have interactions or intersections in my life that actually were very meaningful. And in the next probably 10 or 12 minutes, I will make my best effort to tell you about 6 very important. So I tried to trim them down. I could not. These are 6 very important moments for me or aspects of kind of building blocks to where I am today. So when I started middle school, Egyptian schools have actually two periods of religious studies every week. And I was fortunate enough to study under this very nice young man. I'm guessing he was probably in his late 20s, early 30s, very gracious. But this man came across so peaceful all the time, the whole year. He was never in a bad mood when, young early teenagers just give him trouble or act up in class or ask silly questions or don't do the homework. He was always so peaceful and gracious in presenting the material that he got us all interested. And one day I went to his office and I was asking questions, and then I said, how can you always be so peaceful? And he said, well, I love the message of Islam and I try to live it, and it brings me a lot of peace. And I said, okay, I want to live it. I want to be peaceful as well. And he said, well, it actually takes time. So my advice to you would be start building a knowledge base. It is not something that I'm going to sit down and communicate to you or a certain specific body of information that I'm going to throw your way. Just start building a knowledge base. And I said, where do I start? I was probably 13 at this point. I was in 6th grade. And he said, the Quran is our constitution. It's a big book. It is not written in the easiest language, but try to take a little bit of it at a time, and you will find yourself learning a whole lot. Don't distract yourself with many other things, just the Quran. And by the way, thinking of Ramadan actually is a celebration of the anniversary of this constitution being revealed, because the Quran was revealed to the Prophet according to the Islamic faith in Ramadan. So it kind of comes together very nicely for me today. But to go back to Mr. Fathi, he directed my attention to this, and I started reading and not understanding because the language is really very elegant. And I would go back to him because his specialty was Arabic and Islamic studies. So I would go back to him seeking, clarification and stuff like that. And he was very helpful over the following 3 years. And one of his last comments to me was, if you don't find peace in your heart while you do this, there is still a missing part. Keep working. You're not there yet. And I am working, but I'm finding more peace as I proceed. So that is actually telling me that something is going right for me. My second major influence in life came from a mentor, actually, not a teacher. And because my teacher was available during the school year, in the summers sometimes I had questions where I didn't really know what to exactly to do. So there was an Islamic center next to my parents' house, and I started attending these weekly lectures by an older man. I think he was in his 70s, late 70s. And he was a graduate of the School of Jurisprudence in Al-Azhar, so he had a lot of knowledge. And he also had a very simple way of presenting complicated concepts. And I started trusting his knowledge and approaching him for his opinion on some things or which books to read. And he realized, or he noticed how eager I was to learn. And any book that has a semi-religious word in the title, I would actually get it and try to read it. And he gave me the second most important advice I got in this direction. He said, make sure that you stick to the authentic sources. You don't want to distract yourself with the clutter from my mind or somebody else's mind. Make sure that you ask questions. When somebody gives you an opinion, when somebody gives you a fatwa or something, like throws something at you, do not be overwhelmed by the fancy language and the cumbersome sentence structures. Make sure to know, is this relevant to the Quran? Is this from the Sunnah or the practice of the Prophet? Or is this your own opinion and understanding of the concept? And I lived by this rule for the rest of my life. And I honestly tell you that it saved me a lot of clutter and a lot of misleading attempts to mislead, the public. So I also owe this to Mr. Mahdi. Another advice he gave me was, once I approached him with a family problem, because he was older, I considered him like my grandfather. He knew my family, so it was a very comfortable relationship. And I said, I am so upset. I had a conflict with a family member. They wronged me. It was very clear that I was wrong. They insulted me. I am so angry. And he turned around and he said, pray for him. And I said, yeah, good luck with that. And I said, I'm serious, pray for him. And I said, I can't. I am so upset. This person wronged me really seriously and in a profound way. And he said, try to pray for him. And the minute you pray for him, you know that your heart is starting to be pure. And one of the goals for the Muslim heart is to be a pure heart is a goal. Salamat al-sadr, we call it in Arabic. And he said, just work for it. I promise you, I tried every day, 5 times. We pray 5 times a day, every day. I would raise my hands, make prayers for my parents, for myself, for my friends, for my community, you name it. And I get to this person and I am stumped. 9 months. And then one day I thought, just try. And I said, may God bless him and his family. May God put the blessings in his sustenance and his income and his health and his children. And I felt so good and so proud. And I went for my next session with this mentor, and I said, I actually was able to pray for this person. And he said, I can be happier for you, because now you opened up your heart for purity and for Islam. This is Islam. So Mr. Atiyah taught me about peace, the sense of peace. And Mr. Mahdi taught me about the importance of a pure heart, a clear conscience. Just go about things in an easy way. And when I realized later on, when I make things easy for others, I end up making them easy for myself somehow. The third influence in my life, in my spiritual journey, was another mentor who also had a weekly lecture that I used to attend. And I would go after the lecture and ask the most technical questions. What should my head cover look like so that it fits the requirements for the Islamic faith? How should I stand up exactly? How should I place my hands? Are they here as I pray? I was so technical in my questions. I killed them. I was just very, very difficult for him. And one time he turned around, and he would graciously answer my questions. And he turned around one day and said, I want to give you one advice. You're trying very hard to focus on the technicalities. And this is the how. I want you to focus more on the why. Ask yourself why. Why do we stand up this way? Why do we cover up? And whichever direction that takes you will be the right direction. I never asked the technical question since that day. And I honestly tell you, I can give you a clear and a detailed why as to as to everything that I do. It just made me more thoughtful, more introspective, and more aware of why I do things and why I look that way and why I place my hands that way and so on and so forth. So these three roles are actually relevant to us because here each of us in one way or another serves as in a teaching or a mentorship role. So I feel that it is important to know how impactful we are. I am 57 years old, and I remember encounters from middle school. So this is how impactful a teacher and a mentor can be. My fourth important impact came from my immigration from Egypt to the States, and my first city that I lived in was Lexington, Kentucky, because my husband was going to graduate school there. And I was at home with my 3 children, and then I heard about, we lived in the university housing, and I heard about the church van that comes every Wednesday to pick up whoever is interested to spend a couple of hours with the church community. And I was really curious. That is a big effort. That's a very nice effort. Let me hop in this van, but I have kids. I don't want them to annoy everybody. So I asked, and they said, no, there is babysitting and everything. So every Wednesday, for the following 3.5 years, I would go to the church on Nicholasville Road and just enjoy spending time with the community, where I learned how to quilt with them, I exchanged recipes with them, I cooked for them, they cooked for me, we celebrated Ramadan, we celebrated different occasions from different faith traditions, and that was my first encounter ever with interfaith, because I lived all my life in Egypt, where 85% of the population is Muslim, 15% is Christian, and culturally it is appropriate not to discuss religion. It is respectful. This is how we show respect. Religion is in your heart, in your mind, I respect it, that's it. So it was an enlightening and a very inspiring opportunity for me, not only to learn about the spirituality of others, but also to learn more about my own and learn how to express it. Because they would ask me questions, and I'm like, I feel this way. So it was a lovely opportunity to learn about myself and how to express it to others, and then ask questions about theirs and figure out how much we have in common. It was so amazing to me how much we have, people who are interested in spirituality as a concept, how much they have in common. Then the next impact came from a student, actually. I was a graduate student at East Carolina University. 9/11 hit, and Muslims were being bashed everywhere as terrorists and violent and this and that. And the Muslim Student Association at East Carolina decided to have a weekly get-together. It is very similar to the college coffee idea here. So it's a table. We called it the da'wah table, invitation. We invite people to ask questions. And we had a bunch of brochures and booklets and all kinds of material, literature on Islam. And I would volunteer to stand there every week. They allowed us to do this every week for an hour during the semester. I did this, and sometimes people would ask a question or sometimes argue a little bit or whatever it is, debate. You know, it was an hour, and we did it. And then one day there was this young man who kept going back and forth and circling on this direction, circling on this way. I knew he wanted to ask a question, but I don't know whether he was intimidated, he didn't want to be aggressive, I don't know. He kept roaming around until there was, I think, probably 3 or 4 minutes before it was 11 to 12. So it was very, very short period of time before the end of the time. Then he approached me and said, I have a quick question for you. I have a class at 12. So he wanted to tell me, don't lecture, don't clutter my brain. And I said, sure. And he said, what's in it for you? I said, what do you mean? What's in it for you? Then the religion has a very bad reputation. You look very different and everybody stares at you. What's in it for you? What does this do for you? And I said, but I have a class at 12. He reminded me another. And I said, I don't mean the 3 minutes. I need 20 seconds. What's in it for me is one direction. I have one constitution that I live by. I have consistency in my life because everything I do comes from this one book. I have support because I know and feel in my heart that I'm leaning towards the most gracious, the most merciful, the most powerful. That's it. That's what's in it for me. And conflict resolution, back then I have been married probably for 25 years, and I said, if I have a problem with my husband or in a relationship or anything, we have something between us that we both go to and we check and we abide by. So even arbitration is in this book. So I don't know if he remembers the encounter, but I felt that this encounter was able to kind of sum it up for me. The idea of consistency, the directionality, the one directionality of my life. And the last encounter actually proves how connecting to people who are interested in spirituality is a reality for me. I had to have a major surgery in December of 2003, and I was very scared. My children's ages were 5 to 16. So I was very scared for them. What if something happened to me? I was sitting there in the, whatever they call it, I think the holding room before surgery. And my surgeon was Dr. Rosa Cuenca. I will never forget her. She never used the pronoun I or you. Throughout my treatment, she always said we. Just giving me the sense of company. I have somebody with me in this. But she stopped by before she got into the surgery room and said, "How are we doing?" And I was lying on my back, so I was crying, but my tears were being, they're not visible, but I think I looked very upset. And she said, and I told her, "I'm really scared." And she said, no, I don't want you to be scared. I just don't want you to get out of anesthesia when we figure out that this is a lot less than we expected. So we're gonna cheer, but I don't want you to wake up. Ha, ha, ha. I tried to smile, it was very hard. And then she put her hand on my forehead and she started praying something. She had a cross. I knew she was Catholic because she had in her office what led me to believe that she was Catholic. And she started saying a prayer, and that was one of the most peaceful moments of my entire life. And I knew then that I connect really well, not with the idea of, I am Muslim and you're Muslim, we band together against the other. It is just, we both share the interest in the unseen and the unknown, and we believe in the supreme power that is taking care of us, that is loving us, that is guiding us, and that actually helps me bond with people in profound and very important ways. So this is who I am, this is where I come from, this is my journey, and I am just super excited to share it with you. Thank you very much.
What?